I never believed in curses or the supernatural. That was until the day our family inherited a peculiar object, an antique doll with hollow eyes that seemed to follow you, a relic from a bygone era that whispered secrets locked within its wooden frame. At first, the doll sat innocently on the shelf in the living room. Its unsettling presence went unnoticed among the other family heirlooms. But as the days passed, a sinister energy seemed to seep from its lifeless gaze. I tried to warn my parents about it, but they dismissed me, saying that I was imagining things. One evening, the air turned icy as the doll's eyes flickered with an unnatural glow. Objects in the room shifted, each one dancing to an otherworldly rhythm. A porcelain teacup slid off the table, shattering against the floor. Chilling laughter echoed through the halls, an eerie sound that sent shivers down our spines. Everyone dismissed it as mere coincidence, attributing the strange occurrences to drafty windows and creaky floorboards. But as night fell, the house came alive with sinister whispers, as if the walls themselves were privy to a dark secret. Shadowy figures materialized in the corners of rooms, barely perceptible yet undeniably present. Their silent stares conveyed a hunger, an insatiable need that sent a wave of terror through the house. Sleep became elusive, the dreams haunted by visions of the cursed doll and the evil forces it unleashed. Determined to unravel the mystery, we delved into the object's dark history. It had changed hands through generations, leaving a trail of misfortune and tragedy in its wake. The doll was a vessel for a vengeful spirit, and we were mere pawns in its twisted game. We understood the urgency of breaking the curse as the supernatural occurrences escalated. The once loving family now existed in a constant state of fear, their lives unraveling like an ancient tapestry tainted by darkness. Desperation led us to seek the guidance of a knowledgeable elder, someone who understood the ancient arts of cleansing and warding off malevolent spirits. The ritual was our last hope, a race against time to sever the ties that bound the cursed object to our lives. The night of the ritual was fraught with tension. Candles flickered in the dimly lit room as the elder chanted incantations that echoed through the haunted halls. The cursed doll, seemingly animate in the dim light, fought against the forces seeking to banish it. As the final words were spoken, the air grew heavy, and the doll let out an otherworldly wail. At that moment, the oppressive energy lifted, and the house fell silent. The shadowy figures dissipated, leaving behind an emptiness that mirrored the void the cursed object had once occupied. We stood there, breathless and exhausted, realizing the depth of the darkness we had narrowly escaped. The cursed object, now dormant, sat on the floor, a mere doll once again. The weight of the curse had lifted, but the scars it left on our family were etched into our souls. Never again would I dismiss the supernatural. Our brush with the cursed object had opened our eyes to a world where malevolence lurked in the shadows, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Months passed after the harrowing night when we successfully banished the cursed doll's malevolent spirit. The once haunted house began to regain a sense of normalcy, and our family slowly found solace in the mundane routines of daily life. However, the scars from that traumatic experience ran deep, casting a perpetual shadow over our lives. As time went on, strange occurrences continued to unfold in the periphery of our existence. Unexplained noises echoed through the halls, and occasionally, glimpses of shadowy figures flickered at the corners of our vision. We couldn't shake the feeling that the supernatural energies, though weakened, still lingered within the walls of our home. One fateful night, a mysterious letter arrived at our doorstep. The aged parchment bore an intricate wax seal and contained a cryptic message that hinted at a deeper, ancient connection to the cursed doll. The letter spoke of a forgotten ritual, one that could permanently sever the ties between our family and the malevolent forces that had plagued us. Intrigued and desperate for closure, we embarked on a journey to uncover the truth behind the cursed object's origins. The trail led us to hidden archives, dusty libraries, and long-forgotten family records. As we pieced together the puzzle, a chilling revelation emerged: the doll's curse was intricately tied to a centuries-old curse that had befallen a lineage intertwined with dark rituals and forbidden knowledge. Armed with this newfound understanding, we prepared for the ultimate confrontation. The ancient ritual required us to confront our deepest fears and face the lingering spirits head-on. The house became a battleground between the forces of light and the remnants of darkness that clung desperately to the cursed doll.
Story 2.
I never believed in ghosts or the supernatural until that fateful semester when my college friends and I moved into an old house off campus. It seemed like the perfect student dwelling, historic charm, spacious rooms, and rent we could afford on our meager budgets. Little did we know, the creaky floorboards and echoing halls held a sinister secret. We were a group of 5, eager to embrace the newfound freedom of college life. The initial days in the house were filled with laughter and camaraderie as we settled into our respective rooms. Everything seemed normal until strange occurrences began to unfold. It started innocently enough: objects moved when no one was around, and the air in the house carried an unsettling energy. But it was when Mark, one of my roommates, began to experience the brunt of the supernatural onslaught that our college utopia turned into a waking nightmare. Late one night, I heard Mark's frantic voice echoing through the hallways. "Guys, you won't believe what's happening in my room." I rushed to find him, his eyes wide with terror as he pointed to the shadows dancing on his walls. "Things move on their own, voices whisper when I'm alone, and I've seen figures watching me at night," he stammered, his voice trembling with fear. The air grew heavy with tension as the roommates exchanged worried glances. "We need to do something about this." "It's not just in his head," Emily, our level-headed friend, asserted. "Maybe there's something about this house we don't know." Determined to save our friend, we gathered in the dimly lit living room, surrounded by the antique furniture that seemed to absorb the weight of the supernatural tension. Mark's eyes darted nervously around the room as we discussed our next steps. "Let's research the history of this place. There might be something in the archives," suggested Jake, always the pragmatic one. "If there's a dark secret, we need to uncover it." As the days passed, Mark's behavior took a disturbing turn. He became withdrawn, muttering to himself incoherently. We could see the fear in his eyes, as if something unseen was tightening its grip on his sanity. "Guys, we have to figure this out before it's too late," Mark pleaded one evening, his voice barely above a whisper. "I can't take it anymore. I feel like I'm losing myself." Determined to unveil the secrets of the house, we spent hours poring over dusty town archives, chasing leads that seemed to lead us in circles. But then, a breakthrough: a newspaper article detailing the mysterious disappearance of a student decades ago. The circumstances mirrored Mark's experiences, and we realized that the malevolent entity haunting the house was connected to this mystery. The air seemed to thicken as we pieced together the puzzle, the weight of the past pressing down on us. Armed with this newfound knowledge, we sought the help of a local medium who specialized in paranormal investigations. In a dimly lit seance, the medium made contact with the tormented spirit, revealing its desperate desire for closure. "We need to find the students' remains and put them to rest," the medium urged, her eyes clouded with the supernatural connection. "Only then can the entity find peace, and Mark can be freed from its grip." In a race against time, we followed the spectral clues, digging into the dark corners of the house and the surrounding property. The air thickened with tension as we uncovered a hidden cellar, where the skeletal remains of the missing student lay in silent repose. "This is it. We have to perform a ritual," the medium whispered, her eyes fixed on the skeletal remains. The candles flickered as we formed a circle, the energy in the room crackling with a palpable intensity. As we carefully laid the bones to rest and performed a solemn ritual, the house seemed to exhale a collective sigh. The eerie phenomena ceased, and Mark's haunted expression gradually softened. The malevolent entity, finally at peace, released its hold on him. The old house, once a haven for supernatural horrors, transformed into a place of quiet solitude. Mark, though forever changed by the ordeal, slowly returned to his former self. The shadows that had plagued our nights retreated, leaving behind a house that seemed to exhale a sigh of relief. But as I walked away from the old, converted house, I couldn't shake the feeling that some secrets were buried so deep, they could never truly be put to rest. The scars of that haunting semester lingered, etched into our memories as a chilling reminder that the line between the living and the dead is often thinner than we dare to imagine.
Story 3.
I never considered myself superstitious, but the events that unfolded after I brought that cursed painting into my home shattered any skepticism I held. The journey into the macabre began innocently enough, a struggling artist drawn to a peculiar painting at an estate sale. The painting, a haunting depiction of a moonlit forest with shadows that seemed to dance between the trees, held an eerie beauty that captivated my imagination. I thought it would be the perfect muse, a source of inspiration to breathe life into my stagnant creativity. Little did I know that the life it would breathe was something far more sinister. As the painting found its place on the living room wall, an unsettling energy seemed to seep into the room. The air became charged, and the atmosphere took on a weight I couldn't quite explain. At first, I dismissed it as my overactive imagination, but soon, the bizarre occurrences could no longer be ignored. One evening, as I toiled away at my easel, I caught a glimpse of movement in the corner of my eye. I turned to the painting, and to my horror, the shadowy figures within it seemed to shift, their eyes following me with an otherworldly intensity. "That's impossible," I muttered to myself, attempting to shake off the unease that settled over me. But the strangeness didn't end there. The scenes within the painting began to evolve, taking on a life of their own. Figures in the forest engaged in silent conversations, their spectral forms swaying with an unseen breeze. Desperation clouded me as I realized I was entangled in a web of fate woven by forces beyond my comprehension. Disturbed and sleep-deprived, I gathered my courage and decided to confide in my closest friend, Lily. She had always been the voice of reason in our group. "You won't believe what's happening," I began hesitantly, recounting the bizarre events with an urgency that only sleepless nights could bring. Lily listened intently, her brow furrowing in concern. "You don't seriously believe the painting is causing all this, do you?" "I can't explain it, but it's like the scenes in the painting are predicting real-life events. I'm convinced there's something malevolent about it," I admitted, the weight of my confession hanging in the air. Determined to uncover the truth, Lily and I delved into the painting's mysterious origin. We scoured antique shops, visited art historians, and eventually stumbled upon an elderly art dealer who recognized the piece. The artist who painted had a dark reputation. He was rumored to dabble in the occult, infusing his art with supernatural energy, the dealer confessed, his voice hushed as if afraid the walls had ears. Armed with this disturbing knowledge, Lily and I returned to my apartment, the air thick with tension. As we prepared for the perilous ritual to sever the connection between the painting and the supernatural, a palpable fear hung in the room. Candles flickered in the dim light, and the shadows in the painting seemed to writhe with anticipation. Lily's voice wavered as we recited incantations, and the air crackled with an otherworldly energy. In the final moments of the ritual, the room plunged into darkness. A bone-chilling scream echoed through the air, and for a moment, time stood still. When the lights flickered back to life, the once haunting forest scene had become static. The curse had been severed, and the malevolent force that bound the painting to my reality had been banished. But as we caught our breath, a lingering unease settled over us. The painting, now stripped of its supernatural influence, hung innocuously on the wall. The curse had been broken, but the scars it left on my psyche were indelible. As Lily and I stared at the now inert artwork, a voice whispered in the back of my mind, a haunting reminder that the line between the living and the supernatural was thin, and sometimes, the darkness within a painting could reach into the realm of the living. The experience changed me, leaving me with a chilling awareness that not all art is created to be admired. Some canvases hide secrets that are better left undisturbed.